The golden cleaver feels heavy in your hand, its weight a physical manifestation of the authority you've wrested from this nightmare. As Kamoshida's mocking laughter echoes from the fractured glass, you don't hesitate. You pivot, swinging the massive blade in a wide, violent arc. The edge of the cleaver bites into the central mirror with a deafening crack. The glass doesn't just break. It shatters into 1,000 glowing shards that dissolve into violet sparks before they even hit the floor. The image of Kamoshida screams, a distorted digital sound, as his reflection is torn apart.
Enough of your games, Kamoshida! You don't own anyone here!
Wyndra, look! The room! It's changing!
As the mirrors shatter, the oppressive atmosphere of the Rose Room begins to bleed away. The translucent figure of the girl on the floor looks up at you one last time. There is no more fear in her eyes, only a fleeting, tragic sense of gratitude before she evaporates into a shower of white petals. The walls of the room ripple like water, the elegant rose wallpaper peeling back to reveal the cold, pulsating stone of the castle. The Rose Room was nothing more than a gilded cage, a cognitive trap designed to feast on Anne's guilt.
Great timing! You broke the loop of his desire. The king is going to be furious that you touched his private collection, though.
We need to move before the heavy hitters arrive.
Anne stands in the center of the room, her hands clenched into fists. She isn't trembling anymore. The sight of her friends suffering, even as a cognitive shadow, has ignited a cold, steady fire in her blue eyes.
He thinks he can just use people. He thinks he can turn our pain into a decoration. I'm going to make him regret ever touching her.
The back wall of the room has crumbled, revealing a hidden spiral staircase that leads directly upward. From the base of the stairs, you can see the flickering light of the central hallway far above. Anne turns to you, her expression a mix of newfound resolve and lingering heartache. You step closer to Anne, the golden cleaver still resting at your side. The flickering light of the dissolving room casts long shadows across her face, highlighting the sharp, defiant line of her jaw.
There's that fire again. I think the king is finally going to meet someone he can't bully.
Anne looks at you, the fierce heat in her eyes softening just enough to let a small, grateful smile through. She reaches up, brushing a stray lock of platinum hair behind her ear, her gaze lingering on yours with an intensity that speaks of a bond forged in the heat of battle.
He has no idea what's coming. I'm done being afraid of him. If this place is his heart, then I'm going to burn it down.
Now that's what I like to hear. That's the spirit of a true phantom thief.
But we're still on his turf, and the king is definitely throwing a tantrum after what you did to his mirrors.
The floor beneath you trembles, a low, guttural groan echoing through the stone, as if the castle itself is screaming in rage. The hidden staircase ahead beckons, a narrow path of jagged rock and red carpet winding upward into the dark. You emerge from the spiral, stairs, into the grand central hallway. The scale here is dizzying. The vaulted ceilings are lost in a purple haze, and the golden volleyball chandeliers swing violently, casting erratic, sickly shadows against the walls. Far at the end of the hall, a massive set of gilded doors, guarded by two hulking figures in plate armor, marks the entrance to the king's inner sanctum. The two guards at the door level their halberds as they spot you, the red lights in their visors flashing. Between you and the guards, several heavy stone statues of Kamishita line the hall, providing potential cover. Anne shifts into a low stance, her fingers twitching as she prepares to move. The heavy clank of metal on stone echoes through the vaulted corridor. The two sentries at the far end of the hall lower their halberds, the red glow of their visors locking onto your position. You tighten your grip on the heavy golden cleaver, the weight of it grounding you as the air begins to crackle with hostile intent.
Anne, use those statues for cover. I'll draw their fire while you flank them.
Anne's eyes widen, but she doesn't hesitate. She gives a sharp, determined nod and dives behind a massive marble plinth, topped with a statue of Kamishita in a triumphant spike pose.
Got it. Just stay safe, Wyndra.
I'll back her up. Give him hell, Wyndra.
You step out into the center of the red carpet, the golden cleaver catching the sickly light of the volleyball chandeliers. You let out a defiant shout, slamming the flat of the blade against your forearm.
Rebel detected. Eliminate.
The guards charge, their heavy armor making the floorboards groan. As they level their halberds for a synchronized thrust, you roll forward, the tip of a blade whistling just inches above your shoulder. You spring up, delivering a heavy blow with the cleaver that sparks against a guard's breastplate, keeping their attention firmly fixed on you. Behind them, you see a flash of platinum blonde hair as Anne moves like a shadow between the statues, closing the distance. One guard swings a wide, horizontal arc. You duck, the air pressure from the massive weapon ruffling your hair. Before the shadow can recover, Anne leaps from behind the final statue. She isn't just a student anymore. She's a blur of movement, fueled by righteous fury. She grabs the tattered cape of the nearest guard, using his own momentum to pull him off balance. The strategy worked. The guards are split, one struggling to regain his footing, while the other is focused entirely on you, his halberd raised for a crushing overhead strike. The gilded doors to the inner sanctum are right behind them, but you need to finish this fight before they can call for more reinforcements. The guard looms over you, his massive halberd casting a long, jagged shadow across the red carpet. As the heavy blade begins its downward arc, you pivot on your heel, the golden cleaver held high to parry the brunt of the force.
Anne, grab his weapon! We can use their own reach against them!
Anne doesn't hesitate. As the first guard stumbles from her previous move, she lunges toward the one attacking you. Her hands close around the cold iron of the halberd's shaft, just as you deflect the strike. The metal screeches, sparks showering your exotic robes.
I've got it. Push in.
You drive your shoulder into the guard's chest plate, adding your strength to Anne's leverage. Together, you wrench the heavy weapon from the shadow's gauntlets. The guard staggers back, its glowing red eyes flickering with digital confusion.
Perfect! Now sweep the other one. Don't give them a chance to regroup.
Anne swings the captured halberd in a wide, clumsy but powerful circle. The heavy axe head catches the second guard across the knees, just as he tries to stand. With a sound like a collapsing blacksmith's shop, both armored figures crash to the floor.
Error. Unauthorized. Weapon. Access.
The guards scramble to rise, their armor clattering against the stone. You stand over them, the golden cleaver gleaming with a predatory light, while Anne holds the long halberd like a spear, her breathing heavy but her stance firm. The shadows are vulnerable, pinned between your heavy blade and the reach of their own stolen weapon. Beyond them, the massive gilded doors to the inner sanctum pulse with a sickly violet light, sensing the struggle. You have a momentary opening to end this before they can recover their footing. The guards are a tangle of thrashing limbs and screeching metal on the floor. You see the massive, circular brass handles of the sanctum doors, perfectly aligned and wide enough to act as a makeshift hasp.
Anne, thrust the halberd through the door handles, lock them out of their own sanctum.
Anne's eyes light up with a flash of brilliant, rebellious inspiration. She doesn't just shove the weapon. She lunges forward, driving the long iron shaft of the halberd through both rings with the force of a battering ram.
Stay down!
The halberd seats itself with a heavy asterisk thunk, effectively barring the doors from the outside. The two guards scramble to their feet, but they are on the wrong side of their own defenses. They lunge for you, but without their primary weapons, their movements are clumsy and desperate.
Talk about a reversal. They're locked out of the king's presence by their own gear.
You don't wait for the shadows to recalibrate. You grab Anne's hand, the heat of the battle radiating between your palms, and pull her toward a narrow servant's passage to the side of the grand doors.
This way. If they can't get in, we'll find the back door.
You sprint down the velvet-lined corridor, the sounds of the guards' frustrated pounding against the gilded doors fading behind you. The air here grows thicker, smelling of expensive cologne and rotting roses. You reach a small, ornate balcony overlooking the throne room below. Below you, the shadow Kamishita is no longer in his track suit. He stands in the center of a literal sea of cowering shadows, his presence radiating a suffocating, golden light.
Where are my snacks? A king shouldn't have to wait for his tribute.
Anne gasps beside you, her knuckles whitening as she grips the balcony railing. The sight of Kamishita in his true form, a grotesque, half-naked monarch, is the ultimate insult to every student he's ever tormented. He hasn't noticed you yet, his back turned as he admires a giant golden statue of himself. The sight of Kamishita in his grotesque, narcissistic glory, parading in little more than a crown, and a cape is enough to make the stomach churn. You feel Anne's frame trembling beside you, her breath hitching in a mix of disgust and deep-seated trauma. You reach down, your fingers sliding against hers, and give her hand a firm, grounding squeeze.
Look at him. He's pathetic. He hides behind a crown because he knows he's nothing without it. Let's show him what a real fight looks like.
Anne turns her head, her blue eyes meeting yours. The reflection of the king's golden light flickers in her pupils, but the fear that once clouded them is being incinerated by a sharp, focused resolve. She doesn't pull away. She leans into your touch for a fleeting second, drawing strength from your proximity.
You're right. He's not a king. He's just a sad, sick man playing dress-up with our lives. I'm ready, Wyndra. Let's finish this.
That's the spirit. His ego is his greatest weapon, but it's also his biggest blind spot. If we strike now while he's distracted by his own reflection, we can cripple his defenses before the main guard arrives.
The shadow Kamishita laughs, a booming, hollow sound that echoes off the fleshy walls of the throne room. He raises his scepter, admiring the way the light glints off the golden volleyball.
I am the center of this world. Everything here exists to serve my glory. The students, the school, all of it is mine to use as I see fit.
You tighten your grip on the golden cleaver, the weight of the heavy blade a comforting anchor. The balcony is roughly 15 feet above the throne room floor, a dangerous jump, but one that would put you directly behind the distracted king. Anne looks to you, her hand already reaching for a heavy velvet curtain she could use to swing down. The shadow of the self-proclaimed King preens below, his back turned to the balcony as he admires his own reflection in the polished gold of a giant statue. You don't aim for him. You aim for the source of his flickering, sickly light. You step onto the marble railing, the golden cleaver raised high above your head.
Time to turn the lights out, Your Majesty.
With a savage, overhead swing, you bring the heavy cleaver down onto the thick, braided iron chains, anchoring the massive volleyball chandelier to the balcony's support beam. The metal screams as the blade shears through the links in a shower of white-hot sparks.
Go! Do it!
The massive fixture, a cluster of golden spheres the size of boulders, groans as the last link snaps. It plunges into the darkness of the throne room like a falling star.
What? Who dares?
The king barely has time to look up before the ton of gold and crystal slams into the floor behind him. The impact is seismic, shattering the marble dais and sending a shockwave through the room that knocks the cowering shadows off their feet. Kamishita is thrown forward by the blast, his ridiculous red cape fluttering as he face plants into the red carpet, the golden scepter skittering away across the floor.
Bullseye! His crown is quickest and his dignity is in the gutter. Move, move, move!
You don't wait for the dust to settle. You vault over the railing, using a heavy velvet banner to slow your descent before dropping the final 10 feet to the throne room floor. Anne follows suit, her pigtails whipping as she lands gracefully beside you, her eyes wide with the thrill of the strike. Kamishita pushes himself up, his face livid with a mixture of shock and bruised ego. His crown has fallen over one eye, and his pink Speedo is smudged with soot. He looks less like a king and more like a cornered animal.
You filthy little rats. You think you can walk into my castle and touch me?
Kamishita stands, his muscles bulging as his golden aura flares with a violent, violet intensity. The shadows of the room are beginning to coalesce around him, forming into a wall of dark energy. He reaches out his hand, summoning the scepter back to his grip with a surge of cognitive will.